everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Kill Cheese. Well, something extra. Oh, okay. You weren't done yet. Sorry.
It's fine. Happy Saturday, everybody.
Happy Saturday.
Today, we have a story, as always, called Confess, period. That's all it is. Just confess. This story is written by that-eagle-5950.
All right.
Quite the name, if I had to say so myself.
That eagle.
That eagle. You. War Eagle, as you love. Auburn, where the fuck it is. War Eagle.
War Dam.
That makes no sense to me. Whatever. Well, confess. What are we going to confess about? We will find out. I better buckle in. Here we go. When the Reaper comes for you, don't be afraid. The words of my mother echoed through my head, my heart, my confusion. They were the last words she said to me before she died.
Damn.
Not a bad last sentence. But at the same time, it's like, what the fuck? What Reaper, huh? My mother, my favorite person in the world, my last living family member, gone. I had tucked her into sleep that night. She had been getting older and less sure of herself, but she was still there. She just had her bad moments. I had left her with a glass of water and crackers on her nightstand, held her hand, and smiled as I told her to sleep well. Well, she did, to death.
That's the best sleep you'll ever have.
I guess. Dirt nap.
Damn.
That's when her grip tightened, just slightly, as her eyes looked at me with love and devotion. That's when she uttered the words, "When the Reaper comes for you, don't be afraid," she calmly told me. Yeah, calmly.
Yeah, that's anything but calm.
Yeah. I nodded at her. You probably think the bitch is crazy. I nodded at her, feeling the familiar helpless feeling that always peered at me when she spoke like this. "Okay, Mom, I won't," I said quietly. "Bitch, please. We know you are. You're scared to death."
The Reaper.
I kissed her hand and left her bedside. She was asleep before I even shut the lights off. The next morning, she was found on the rocks below the cliffside about a mile from our home.
What?
The next morning, she was found on the rocks below the cliffside about a mile from our home. Okay.
I kind of thought she died in her sleep.
That's what I thought. We all thought dirt nap, but it was a
genuine dirt nap.
Yeah. She didn't leave a note. Nothing to explain her rash decision. She was just gone. When I cleaned her room that evening, I looked for clues, something, anything to get a look into her state of mind. The only thing I found was her journal, and I would never invade her privacy. Mm-hmm. Bitch, we both know you're about to. I ate dinner alone. I washed the dishes alone. I sat on the couch, ready to turn on our favorite show, when I paused. I could never watch that show again. Since the moment the officers knocked on my door this morning with the news, I haven't cried once. I've wanted to. I wanted to scream, cry, throw things against the wall, but I can't. It's like I've shut down. I picture my phone battery slowly lowering and lowering, and then when it gets to 1%, it flashed a few times before dying. "Accurate," I said out loud, and then laughed bitterly.
Sounds like she's going crazy too.
She.
Or he. Whoever the fuck this is.
I don't know what it says. Either way.
It doesn't.
Just then, a box that I was using to organize with fell from the chair. I probably shouldn't have placed it onto to begin with, spilling all of its contents onto the hardwood. I sighed and picked up everything I could until the last thing caught my eye. Mom's journal. "Found you. Sorry, friend. Your keeper is gone now," I said, tossing the book onto the coffee table. I flopped back down on the couch and sighed. What am I going to do?
Read the journal.
I mean, obviously.
We all know it's coming.
We know. It is coming. My eyes wandered around the room with my thoughts until they landed on the journal.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I pondered. It felt like an invasion of privacy. She's my mom, and I respected her. I don't want to go snooping through her things. But if she's gone, she don't care. Just go ahead. But then again, she left me. I have to know why. "Please forgive me, Mom," I said out loud, picking up the book before cozying up on the couch. I flipped open the cover, and her name was written in dark blue ink. I traced the words with my fingers, memorizing the letters, before I turned to the first page.
Yep. Read the damn journal. We all know. Mm-hmm.
I was up all night reading. My alarm sounding from my phone brought me out of my trance. I had already called out of work the next day, but I hadn't turned my alarm off yet. I normally work the early shift at the hospital, so my alarm was set for 2:30. I silenced the chime and turned back to the book. I was stunned. I read every word, every story, every line. But whoever wrote this couldn't have been my mother. My kind, sweet, selfless mother, who had never hurt a fly and paid for people's groceries at the store if they looked like they needed a little boost to their day. The woman in this book is cold, heartless, vindictive, angry, and vicious. There's a story about how in grade school, another little girl had the same color ribbons in her braids as my mom. So my mom cut them off short enough that the little girl had to have a pixie cut.
Damn.
Me, mama. Another story about threatening her high school biology teacher with exposing a non-existent affair between them if he didn't pass her in the class. God damn. Mean bitch. A story about her best friend teasing her about her frizzy hair at said friend's bachelor party. So my mom slept with the friend's groom the night before the wedding.
God damn.
She didn't regret it, any of it. The book was an endless train of her worst memories, inked on paper for all of eternity. She's a nice woman.
This is wild.
I flipped through the pages, back to the beginning, hoping I missed something that said the book belonged to someone else. I just happened to share my mother's name. I was desperate. But when I flipped to the front, her name still sat there, in her familiar swooped writing. It was hers. My eyes began to well up with tears when I noticed a date inscribed in the bottom of the corner of the page. But it didn't make any sense. It had the date marked as yesterday. How could that be? I jumped large sections in the book, searching through it. I made a decent dent in it last night, but it still had ways to go. I skimmed through more stories of her cheating on my father, her key in the car of my second grade teacher who gave me a bad performance review, her stalking my ex-boyfriend as he broke up with me before prom. Years and years of horrible choices. God, it just keeps going. When I got to the last page, I read the last section very carefully. And lastly, my daughter thinks I am losing my wits. I am not. I have lied to her again. She was pulling away from me. She was going to take that job as a traveling nurse and leave me. I couldn't have that. So I have been pretending to slowly lose my mind so she stays with me. That's it. That's the last of it.
What a horrible person.
God. I dropped the book like it was a hot coal. No, this can't be true. She's sick. She was sick. I looked at the damning book. I wish I just burned it when I found it. In my tears and rage, I marched outside, lighter in hand. I can pretend I didn't see it at all. I brought the flame to the cover, waiting for it to catch. 1 second passed, then 2. The book, still pristine, was untouched. The flame danced around it. In my frustration, I threw the book at the ground. I screamed, putting my face in my hands. The book is now yours. I looked up quickly, head whipping back and forth as my breath quickens. I surely imagined it. The book is now yours, the voice repeats. It is a hollow voice, not sounding completely from our world. I turned around to where the voice sounded, and all I saw was a darkness of a tree line. Now, it bellowed. Terror ran up my arms as I quickly picked up the book, confused now. I held it shaking. The book is now yours. Confess to me, the darkness spoke. Confess? Is that what my mother was doing? I opened the book up, and the only blank pages greeted me.
Oh no. Oh no.
I flipped back and forth. Nothing remained. No stories of hate, betrayal, viciousness, just pages ready to be used. When I got to the first page, my breath caught. It said my mother's name, my name sat, in blue ink in my handwriting. The date at the bottom of the page marked today. I still felt the presence of the voice near me, so I cleared my throat. What am I to confess? I asked the darkness. Whatever has burdened you, big or small, it responded. I nodded, turned, and walked inside the house. Something about his voice made me afraid not to do just that. I went to the desk in the front room and picked up a pen. Sitting down in the chair, I opened the book. Ignoring the front page, I began to write. Mainly little things, stealing extra candy at the checkout line, lying to stay home from school, not standing up for kids who are being bullied on the playground. One by one, I wrote down anything I felt guilty about. Granted, nothing seemed so bad as reading my mother's stories, but I wrote them all. After what seemed like an hour, I made my last entry. I had finally accepted a job offer as a traveling nurse. I start in 2 weeks. I was going to put my mother in a nursing home that I felt was better suited to care for her ailing health. I haven't told her yet. So she was going to leave her. I closed the book, picked it up, and walked back outside. The second I closed the door, the voice spoke to me again. You may meet me where your mother had her final breath, wherein her fate was decided by the rocks and the waves, it said. I gulped. I didn't want to go back there, ever. How did this voice know where she died? I had to have an answer, an explanation. Maybe this thing could give me that.
That's not a good choice.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
That's not a good choice.
The dark voice, the confession book. What could go wrong?
Meeting it where your mother died.
Convenient. I tucked the book under my arm and slowly made my walk to the cliffside. Walking through the woods at night should have frightened me, but I couldn't focus on anything else except my mother right now. The guilt I felt from signing her up to a nursing home was eating me alive last week, and having to write it down made it even worse in the feelings of betrayal from my mom. Even though she wasn't actually sick, I'll have to process that later.
That's so wild.
Yeah, I was a little out there. Once I make it to the cliffside, it appears empty. I see fresh footprints in the dirt from that morning, but the rest of the land is undisturbed. That's when I see it. A cloaked figure is a bit down the path.
It's the Reaper. It's the Reaper.
Probably, honey. Looking out onto the ocean. He slowly turns toward me as he hears my approach. His hood covers most of his head, but I can barely make out gray skin, pebblewood texture, and a Solomon mouth. His eyes, though, are missing from his face. He extends his hand to me, long, slender fingers and black nails. I shakily handed him the book. He envelops it in his robes and is silent. My hands are shaking so hard that I try to put them in my pockets to stay calm as I ask my question. Why didn't she tell me she wanted to die? I asked quietly. The figure didn't move. It seemed like an eternity passed before his words came. Because it isn't what she chose. The fate chooses for her, he said. I was stunned. How could something else have chosen that for her? I have accepted your confessions, the figure said, and now you must choose. What do I choose? I asked, eyeing the edge of the cliffside. You can either give me a name, any name of someone you want to take your place. They will die for your sins, and you can walk away. Or you can jump off this very cliffside in the dark water and see if you survive. Your choice. What? There are rocks down there. It's obvious I would die, I shouted. Ah, yes, I see. That's where your confessions come into play. If the Fae have decided you are a good person and deserve to live, they will adjust the water level so you won't hit the rocks. If they decide you are bad, you will die. So you have to decide, dear. If you believe you are good or bad, his only voice drawing out the last word. How can I make this choice? I believe I'm good, but I am far from perfect. What would the fates make of me? I looked towards the edge, but I couldn't wish pain on someone else. I couldn't. That'd be horrible to try to condemn someone to any suffering. My mother must have felt the same way. She must have. I will jump, I say calmly. I would jump and spare anyone more pain, except potentially myself. I walked to the edge of the cliffside and looked down. My heart is racing, but I am trying to stay as calm as I can. As calm as I'm sure my mother was. Are you sure of your decision? The voice asked me. Yes. I want to make the same choice as my mom. What?
I have a prediction.
Which is?
Her mom chose someone else to die. Her mom probably chose her to die.
But her mom was dead.
Guilty. Guilty conscience.
Nah.
Okay.
Maybe though. Are you sure of your decision? The voice asked me. Yes, I want to make the same choice as my mom. I said, watching the waves crash through the rocks far, far below my feet. This is not what your mother chose, the voice behind me crooned. Crooned?
Yeah.
That's a new word. I looked over my shoulder. Yes, it is. How did she die on these very rocks then? I asked. She gave me a name and then turned to run. She tripped over her slippers and fell backwards to her death, he stated. Oh my. I clutched my heart as I looked down at the water. Because there was an error that had occurred in her ceremony, I had to remake some rules. Her life was still given, so I chose to offer an additional choice to you. I held up my bargain as I always do, he said intensely. My head was still reeling from the information on her death. I didn't want to hear what was so obviously stated. No, she wouldn't. She gave a name. Who would she do that to? I asked, facing the figure completely. Yours, my dear. She said yours, he said.
Oh, God.
Sacrificing your own child.
Damn.
The horror on my face was painful. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. Why would she? She wouldn't. Then a sound escaped me, and my cheeks felt wet. I was crying. After everything today, I finally shed tears over my mother's final betrayal to me, her daughter. And I knew in that moment I could never do the same to someone else. I solemnly turned back towards the cliffside, closed my eyes, and leapt. The tears continued as I was falling. Now let the sobs take over. I didn't care about my fate. I cared about that the one person in my life who loved has betrayed me in the most horrible way. I cared for my mother, my good and kind mother. Wasn't the angel I thought she was. No shit. And I hated that I still loved her. As the wave neared my face, I took a final breath and squeezed my eyes shut. The welcoming of the water enveloped me. The Reaper came for me, and I was not afraid. So she lived.
Wow.
Her mother, Karma's a bitch. Chose her daughter and slipped and fell anyway and died.
Honestly, what did you think was going to happen? You thought you were going to live a long and happy life after you were going to sacrifice your own daughter?
Dude, fucking Karma's a bitch, man. Karma always comes. It's just his life. Comments. I like his name. Fun with my demons. Absolutely haunting. You wrote grief and betrayal so well. You have a lot of talent. Couldn't have complimented the story better. It was so good and chilling. Beautifully written. Truly great. Such an amazing read. I was sitting on the edge of my seat, anxiously waiting what was to come. You were truly talented. Everybody's saying how good of a story it was. So is the narrator a ghost, or did she survive somehow?
Don't know.
Well, the water enveloped her in the end.
Well, yeah.
So she survived. She didn't hit rocks. Remember, he said the water would rise.
Yeah.
So she survived. The narrator, he answers it. That eagle. The narrator is the young woman. The water submerging her was the proof that the fates thought she was good and therefore adjusting the waterline for her, unlike her mom who crashed into the rocks.
There you go.
Damn. That was... Jesus. Some parents' marriage is fucking terrible. Mm-hmm. Be a good parent, everybody.
Yes.
Don't sacrifice your children to the Reaper. Obviously.
I think that's a pretty good rule of life right there.
Another rule. Karma's a bitch. Mm-hmm. Even though she chose her daughter, it still came and fucking killed her.
Yep. Said like, no, it's you. No matter what.
Slipped on her slipper?
That's what he said.
That's a bitch, man. But everybody, that is it for today, Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
As always, if y'all are on the videos, well, you must be on YouTube or Spotify, and all the audio is everywhere else. You can find us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, /X. I'm forgetting one of them. Everywhere, man. You can't escape us. Long story short.
Yep.
You can DM us or email us your story.
And we will likely read it on here. I would love to read some listener stories. That'd be awesome.
And that'll be it. We will see y'all on Tuesday.
Bye.
Bye.